everybody, it's Daniel here, and today I'm bringing you 5 recommendations for Shovel Knight fans. We hope that you're going to dig the selection of games we have today, because these are all retro-inspired platformers and roguelikes that have based their mechanics on old NES classics and games of an era gone by. If Shovel Knight managed to bury its way into your heart in its modern take on simpler times, then you're going to love the selection we have with us today. This list is in no particular order, so we hope you try them all out. First up, we have Freedom Planet from Galaxy Trail. Back in the day before Sonic became obsessed with RPGs and chili dogs, he was obsessed with one thing in particular: going fast. And Freedom Planet is almost a spiritual successor to these classic Sonic titles, with a fresh coat of polish thrown on top for good measure. Instead of collecting rings, you're collecting shards. Instead of spinning into enemies to attack them, you have dedicated attacks. And instead of playing as a blue hedgehog, you're a purple water dragon. God, we've come a long way. With an outstanding soundtrack and a true sense of speed that the game places a lot of emphasis on, and sadly kind of been lacking in recent Sonic titles, Freedom Planet is a revival of a classic that knows what it wants to be, and it does it incredibly well. It's even got cheesy voice acting thrown in. It's like the 90s never left us. You can find Freedom Planet for $15 of your regional equivalent on PC and Wii U. Next up, we have Rogue Legacy from Cellar Door Games. Castlevania-inspired combat system that has had its speed pumped up to remove any potential slowness. Check. Procedurally generated dungeons filled with loot and treasure that ties into an incredibly satisfying progression system. Check. Generations of your family dying and you needing to reroll constant new characters because your ancestors keep failing to grab treasure chests? Well, that doesn't sound good. Rogue Legacy is a really enjoyable roguelike platformer with dozens of hours of replay value. Your goal is to collect as much treasure as possible before you inevitably die to the horrors in the castle, at which point you roll a new character. And it's the character traits that make this game so interesting to replay over and over. For instance, if your next character is colorblind, this is actually reflected on the screen. And if your character has vertigo, then the screen is actually flipped upside down, for nightmare levels of frustration. It's tough as nails with very clean mechanics that have clearly been inherited from the legacy of older titles. You can find Rogue Legacy on most major platforms for $15, your regional equivalent. Next up, we have Cave Story Plus from Studio Pixel. If we're talking about Shovel Knight being a revival of the classic style of gameplay, we have to mention Cave Story. This game plays like a faster Super Metroid, with a darker plot unfolding the more you explore your environment. I'm just saying, caves can be scary places to have stories that get spooky. The initial setup is quick and to the point. You wake up with no memory of who you are, where you are, you're given a weapon and you're thrown on into the world. It's an action platformer with really slick and polished mechanics, and it brilliantly captures the classic gaming experience. This game has had a huge legacy, and is considered by many to be an indie before its time, released in 2004. It also has the tagline of being the best SNES game never made, which is simply a fantastic thing that you can say about your title. It's that level of classic. There's variants of it available on the Wii and 3DS, but for the best experience you can find Cave Story Plus on Steam for $15 of your regional equivalent. Next up, we have Dust: An Elysian Tale from Humble Hearts. Sometimes all a game needs to do is take an older concept, drench it out with a gorgeous new presentation, and mix up a few of its base elements. And Dust: An Elysian Tale completely nails this! Dust is a Metroidvania RPG with crafting and bonus objectives, topped with a truly beautiful soundtrack. The combat and exploration is impressively fun, and the game is laden with many Easter egg acknowledgements of other indie titles that released around the same time as it. The game's signature mechanic is the Dust Tornado. You spin about wildly, and you also multiply the projectiles that your trusty companion Fidget is firing. It's a fun way to fly through the air, and it racks up an awful lot of combat damage and keeps things moving at a very fast pace. You of course have your plot and RPG setting in this game to engage with as well, but it's the satisfying mechanics that really distinguish it. It makes the game feel like a classic that has been placed out of time. And it's so nice to look at, like my god, it's like stepping into a watercolor painting. It's truly beautiful. You can find Dust: An Elysian Tale for $15 of your regional equivalent on most major platforms. And next up, we have a special mention. If you were a child of the late 80s or 90s, then you've no doubt encountered the blue bomber that is Mega Man. One of gaming's early icons, he has seen very few appearances in the past 5 years outside of his notable inclusion in the latest Super Smash Bros. If only the series were to be revived in some format. If only there was some kind of resurgence of the gameplay that made Mega Man mega. And that's where the Mega Man Legacy Collection comes in. Featuring the first 6 games as the HD edition of a classic. If you've never experienced a Mega Man title before, then this is a great way to hop on in. These early Mega Man games are often regarded as shining examples of smart level design and intuitive game mechanics, and the collection not only displays this, but includes some bonus features such as a challenge mode, a replay system, as well as some developer design documents from when these games were being put together. If you love Shovel Knight, then it's a great idea to check out Mega Man because it has that smart gameplay design in it that makes it oh so enjoyable to play. The price varies by platform, but you can find the collection on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and 3DS. And those are just 5 game recommendations for fans of Shovel Knight. It was actually quite tricky to put this list together, as there's a lot of games I wanted to get in, but sadly I can only pick 5. But if you'd like to see even more recommendations, then please check out GameX.io. You can sign up for the alpha on our site right now, and our goal is to bring you gaming recommendations based on your past gaming history across all platforms. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I've been Daniel, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go back to playing a shovel load more of Shovel Knight. I'll let myself out, don't you worry.